It is a great honor and a privilege to have my favorite patient, Sylvia Shine. We're here in Jerusalem. And Sylvia, you just told us something absolutely extraordinary about your sister that you can
my
relate.
adopted sister who came over on the kinder transport. My parents took in 3 children, I think. I have told you the story before. But one of the children was a boy. And eventually, after he'd been with us quite a while, he went into the British Army. And they posted him to Cyprus. And my adopted sister, Hannah, who had just got married, she was also a child on the kinder transport. She and her husband went on an illegal ship to Cyprus, and they were interned in the camp at Cyprus.
This is before 1948, before the state was declared.
And who should be on guard outside the camp but Herschel, my adopted brother, Herschel Sylvia. And they knew each other, they'd met, and they were good friends on either side of the barbed wire. That's it.
And Sylvia, you've kept friends with Hannah.
And
well, not only friends, you've remained sisters.
Yes, we're very close. We speak to each other every week when we can. And she's in Caesarea,
Stotyam.
in Stotyam, yes. She's a great grandma like me, and we're very close. But Herschel, we lost touch with him for quite a while, until one day they had a reunion of all the kinder transport children, all grown up. They were in their 60s by then or more. And my brother and his wife decided they'd go along to the meeting and see what the things that they had to tell. And this gentleman, an elderly gentleman, stood up and he said, I was not on the kinder transport, he said. I came over with my mother, who was a widow, and we didn't have anywhere to go. And a family called Martin took us in.
That was your family?
My parents. So afterwards, my brother went up to him and said, you're Herschel, aren't you? And he said, yes. And we had a reunion. We got back together again.
And Sylvia, your parents weren't wealthy.
I'm sorry?
Your parents weren't wealthy.
Not at all.
But you took in three.
We were. I was the youngest of 8 children. I think I've told you this story before of how our rabbi in Cricklewood, his name was Rabbi Dr. Louis Rabinowitz, and he became the chief rabbi of Johannesburg.
That's right.
But during the war, he was a chaplain in the army, so he always used to bring us news of my brother Louis because they were in contact with each other. And so what was I telling you about?
So your parents decided to take in 3...
Yes. So we were all sitting around the table one Friday night having dinner, and my mother said, you know, children, Rabbi Rabinowitz has asked us to take in a child. What do you think? So we all said, of course. How can you not? My mother said, think about it. She said, who's going to give up their bed? Who's going to give up a room? And what will the child think when she hears you call us mommy and daddy, and their parents, they don't know if they're going to see them again? And she went through all the difficulties. And after that, she still took in 1, 2, 3.
And you gave up your bed for Hannah?
Yes. My Hannah always teases me that I had to sleep in my parents' room. And I said it was no big deal. But she always reminds me, she thought it was amazing, but didn't even think twice about it. But what were the other things she...
She said that she's one of the very few that have always remained in contact with
That's what she said.
her adopted family.
That's what she said.
But not only been in Rome, you and her have remained closest sisters.
I tell you something funny. The other day I did an appointment with a doctor, and I was in his waiting room, and the receptionist said to me, "Oh, you remind me of my grandmother. She's got a coat like that." And he showed me a picture of her. He said he and my grandfather came over from Germany, and they lived in a place called Cricklewood. I said, "What?" I said, "I was brought up in Cricklewood. That was my, in fact, I think I was born in Cricklewood." And I said, "What shore did they go to?" So he said, "I don't know." He said, "I'll text my father." His father was in Canada. In front of me, he texts his father in Canada and said, "What shore did Grandpa and Grandma go to in when they were in Cricklewood?" "Our shore." It was called Home Lane Shore. And where did they live? They lived in a place called Melrose Avenue. It was just round the corner. And I said, "What was their name?" The name was Eva Neuberger. His grandmother's name was Eva Neuberger. She's no longer with us, unfortunately. But I didn't know her. But she was one of the... He said actually she came over with her parents, not with her transport. That's another story.
Well, Sylvia, it is amazing. And, I had the great honor to take you to visit Hannah.
Yes. Yeah.
And you had that reunion, which I will never ever forget.
It was so marvelous. He brought his tripod with.
No, but we videoed that encounter, and it was something very unique.
And you met her children.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. It's been such an honor and privilege to always to hear you.
She's a great grandma now, like me.
Like you. And you're only 95 years young. So I'd may best rim in good health until 120 in very good health.
I want to tell you something very funny. My great-grandchildren, I have, Baruch Hashem, 11. And they're all under 5.
Wonderful. Wow. Well, there'll be many more Bezrat Hashem. Just have nachas and in good health and all of Hashem's blessings.
Amen.
Thank you so much. That's incredible. So Herschel's mother
was a very good seamstress. They came over not on with the kinder transport, just on their own, and she didn't know how she was going to live. And my parents found her a place where she could make dresses with, he was my uncle. They manufactured clothing. And she worked for them until she was able to come and take Herschel and look after him herself. She used to come every day to check on him. I remember to see if his clothes were clean. And Herschel used to come home from school and say, "What's for dinner, Mum?" to my mother. And he'd lift up the saucepan lid to check to see what was cooking. That's all. Just an item I remember.
And did Hannah and Herschel, did they keep a contact?
I don't know. I think they're no longer alive.
Herschel. Yeah. But it's so wonderful that you and Hannah, you kept this beautiful friendship all these years. She
still says, "My twin sister," is 6 months difference. My twin sister. Yes, I think I showed pictures of you when we were together when we were very young. She was a very pretty girl.
As were you. Sylvia, thank you so much. And you still are. You were and you still are and you will. It's amazing. Both you and Hannah, it's one of the most beautiful stories, and it's just incredible. So just both in good health, and you should just both know only Mazel Bracha and all of Hashem's blessings.
Thank you.